solitary one in these apprentices not to have ridden a winner. He's only had one previous ride, so good luck to him. Impeach just putting up a bit of a battle. Impeach moving forward, and then we'll be set for this Unibet money back on selected Cheltenham Races Apprentice Handicap over 6 furlongs. The 8 runners are all loaded, and they're off. Mamilius was a little slow into stride. Amongst those that show decent pace is Satin Snake in the hooped colours, and also Stockpile moving forward. Wider out Melly's Flyer in the red and white, as Stockpile takes a keen grip. So does Impeach as they scuttle around the bend. And settling down, it's Gobi Sunset who has a narrow lead by half a length from Stockpile. Melly's Flyer is 3 wide on the outside of Impeach on the running rail and Jupiter Express, then Satin Snake. Mamilius is wide into the straight, just hanging to the left, and tracks at this stage the Green Man. So making their way round towards the halfway stage. Out in the lead, Gobi Sunset by a neck from Stockpile in the red cap, and Melly's Flyer towards the outside in red and white. Impeach and Jupiter Express are both just waiting as the cutaway will shortly emerge. Satin Snake pulled to the outside, then the Green Man and Mamilius. So 2 furlongs to travel. Gobi Sunset out in the lead, being pressed now by Jupiter Express, who's got the split with Impeach over on the far side. Melly's Flyer, the Green Man, is now making good progress amongst horses in the noseband. Impeach over on the far side, and the Green Man, who's still finishing with purpose. And it's the Green Man for Kaiya Fraser, who's moved through to take it up close home. The Green Man beats Impeach. Melly's Flyer is next. 4th, possibly Jupiter Express, just ahead of Gobi Sunset and Satin Snake.
The Green Man has his rivals green with envy, and the market was right. Absolutely spot on. He was well backed all throughout the afternoon and into the evening, and the Green Man has done the business in good style, got the splits at the right time, and saw off Impeach, who has bounced back to form in some style, only getting headed late on, and a good performance back in third from Melly's Flyer, who has got a pretty good record at this track, and once again has run a decent race, a creditable one at that. I think Satin Snake was probably always up against it. Never really looked like getting into it back over the 6 furlong trip, but the Green Man is the 9-4 favourite and goes in for Kaiya Fraser, who has continued to impress, really. A jockey who hasn't had too many opportunities in the saddle just yet in the early stages of his career, but he's certainly very capable and has actually had to weave his way through traffic from some way back on the inside there. But he did look fairly well handicapped on some of his best form, did the Green Man, a winner at Doncaster in the summer last year. And as soon as the splits did come, he's actually shown a pretty decisive turn of foot. Stockpile there was to be shot at. Melly's Flyer likewise down the outside. I did think at this stage Impeach might have just got first run. He's been out of form for a while, but this is certainly much more like it. But in the end, the Green Man in this kind of grade looks a bit of a handicap snip. He's bounced right back to form, and I think it definitely helped that he broke somewhat more on terms this evening, because he hasn't really had to work too hard to get into the race. A little bit disappointing, I thought, was Jupiter Express in the horse watcher colours. Looked to have every chance coming to the furlong pole, had the splits as well, but couldn't really quite quicken up. Bit of a shame, really, because he came into this in very decent nick, but the market wasn't particularly in his favour beforehand, and in the end he's run a fairly disappointing race, petered out tamely in the end, and Satin Snake, I think, has been really inconvenienced by that drop back in trip. That was the one concern we had beforehand, and unfortunately that has been borne out. Gobi Desert set a strong pace from the start. It's been a long time since he's tasted the trough of victory, but hopefully that'll come someday in the near future. It wasn't tonight though, and he's actually been headed fairly easily by the rest of them, but your eye was always taken to the Green Man. He's been going 2 for his rivals 1, really, considering especially the distance from which he had to come from the rear. But he's quickened up very boldly and decisively and emphatically in the end to win going away, and I think there'll be plenty of happy punters here at Kemp's. Not the busiest evening, but certainly not the quietest I've ever seen for this 6-race card. Plenty enjoying the Premier restaurant I saw a little bit earlier, and no doubt some people have backed this because it was very well backed before the off. The winner of the opener here, the Green Man.
A very good facility, the Premier Restaurant at Kempton. The Green Man wins under Kaiya Fraser. And George, he's created quite an impression. You were reminding me about his exploits for Chris Wall.
Yeah, he was with Chris for a period of time. Obviously, Chris is retired, and he's joined Harry Eustace. And I was speaking to Harry. I saw him in Newmarket last week, and Harry was very positive about his work ethic on the yard, and he's going to give him plenty of opportunities through the upcoming season. So I thought we'd give that horse a nice smooth ride, who wasn't seen to best effect last time in a race that would definitely paid to be on the pace, and he just kept it nice and smooth and just negated a nice smooth passage when it looked a bit tight for room.
Yeah, drawn in stall 1, he certainly utilised that position and stayed into a ground-saving trip through the race, and then picked up really nicely. I thought Jupiter Express was travelling really nicely, but then didn't really find very much.
Yeah, he's had quite a few quick runs, and maybe that's just paying. I just thought it was a messy race for Rishi in regards to there was quite a few horses that were keen. Stockpile was keen after his break, and a few of them have been off the track for a little while. Satin Snake, I actually thought the drop back down and trip would suit, but I think probably 7 furlongs where you can allow it to travel and keep things smooth would suit better.
Raced quite wide through the race. Satin Snake sort of 3 or 4 wide. It was wide turning in, so struggled to really land a blow. Let's confirm the SPs after our first race at Kempton. The Green Man, your winner, 9-4 favourite for Kaiya Fraser. Trainer Joe Parr and owner John Stocker. Impeach was second at 12-1. Melly's Flyer third at 17-2. That's the first race at Kempton, done and dusted. We're heading back to Dundee.